Hey Hugs, just a reminder before you get into the show that we have merchandise, yes, and you can find it on our Ugly Truth website. There's a little tab, you can click on it, and then you can peruse to see all of our styles. You can grab a mug or a sticker. We have hoodies and t-shirts, pretty much anything you would want to show your pride for being an Ugly Truth listener. Thank you so much for supporting us. Enjoy the show. Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 540, actually.
Oh, did you figure it out?
Yes. We are at 540. And if we're not, we're not. Welcome.
Remember that last couple shows ago, you were talking about how you had a ugly and awkward moment when something came up on the screen and you were like, why does it spelled like that?
Remedy Science?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, now that trailer is out and it's
Yes.
everywhere and it's with Hugh Jackman, right?
Yes.
So now I kind of want to see it. I was like, this is what she was talking about? I was
Yes.
like, OMG.
Do you see Remedy Science, or did I completely
No,
see it
I did
wrong?
not see Remedy Science. That's why I was laughing when I first saw it. I was like, this is what she saw.
You're like,
and that...
it clearly says reminiscence.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't even say science anywhere.
Like, I wasn't,
show.
I had to see it a couple times to, like, maybe I'm just not seeing it,
No,
you know?
no.
No.
It's all me. It's all me.
It was so funny.
And this is kind of a subject change, but it also is, I was going to ask you a question after this, and this
Yeah.
kind of segues into it, is that if you have been married for at least 7 years, I don't know how many people who listen have been married that long. It doesn't even matter if it's same sex. It doesn't matter.
Long-term relationship or married?
Marriage. Actually, specifically married.
You think married makes a difference?
Yes, because it requires legal paperwork to get out of it.
That's true.
When you're married to somebody at least 7 years, you're headed for a rough patch.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you either...
Or you've already had one, probably.
Well, you either make it or you don't. You either get on the other side of it or you don't. And the thing is that I have mad props for anyone who gets through it.
That's true.
On the other side. And Daryl and I, we went through a really rough patch.
Yeah.
Daryl hates talking about it. And I said,
Yeah.
no, we have to remember.
That's so funny that
you have to remember that, right? And I know that you and Jerry have been through a significant rough patch.
You know what's funny is I wasn't even going to talk about it. I was definitely not going to talk about it on the show, but we just went through one.
Okay.
And it was pretty significant.
Yeah.
And it was exactly about what we're talking about.
Okay.
We had Jerry and I will have been together as long as you and Daryl.
Yes.
Minus about 5 months.
Yes. You guys got together very quickly.
Now, we were not married that whole time.
No.
But we
you were
have been
together.
in a mutual exclusive relationship for over 24 years. The very first rough patch we went through was before our son was born.
Sure.
I was 100% positive that he was cheating on me, but I could not prove it.
Right.
And he would not admit it.
Of course.
In my mind, and I don't know if all women do this, but you get to a point where you're just like done.
Yeah.
You may still be in the same home. You may have not said we're over, but
a woman checks out.
in your mind, you're done.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of an opportunity of when it's
Time.
going to end.
That's right.
Yeah.
You'll decide.
So I did get to that point, and I was very much to that point. I ended up cheating on him.
Okay.
Well, I don't consider it cheating.
You weren't married.
We weren't married, and that's not why I don't consider it cheating. I had told him it was over.
Oh, so you were done.
I was done.
Got it.
And I told him why, because
Yeah.
I was fully convinced he was cheating on me, and him denying it meant nothing, because I was like, you can deny it until the day you die. I know it's true. You
Women
know
know.
it's true.
Women
and
know.
I'm not going to keep having this argument about you're innocent, because you're not.
I don't need your admittance to know.
I don't.
No.
I'm
and you know what?
over it.
All women know.
Right?
They do.
I mean, I think there's some women who maybe like, he was acting a little funny.
They choose to ignore because they don't want to acknowledge.
Yeah, but for me, it was so in my face that I was not going to do that to myself.
I can show you the receipts, but I'm not really interested.
100%.
I don't want to do it anymore.
Him doing a million. The only thing I hadn't caught him doing was walked in him and see him fucking someone. That's all I didn't have.
That's the last thing.
And I didn't need any. Yeah, so everything else was enough. So I told him it was over. He was working out of town for months at the time. And so he wasn't even in the house. So I was literally alone, physically alone. I ended up getting, and as women, we do this too. Even though we're broken up with someone, even though I had accepted it, what he had done, and that it was over for me, I had to mourn that.
Of course.
And so I got really drunk, and I went out partying with some friends, and I was crying and being obnoxious and telling everybody about how terrible of an asshole he was and how much I hated him, blah, blah, blah. I ended up sleeping with a friend.
Yeah.
I immediately regretted it.
Of course.
Because it had nothing to do with me feeling like I betrayed him. It had nothing to do with that.
Right.
I was just mad at myself because I did it and it was frivolous and it wasn't somebody that I loved or cared about. I was older at that point.
I think sometimes women do that when they're like, this will be the final nail in the coffin where
it wasn't, you're probably right, but it was not a conscious thought that I had.
No, you don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do this, so I'm over it. No,
you do it because you're just like, well, it's over, so I might as well.
Yeah, I just did it because I was intoxicated and I let it happen.
Yeah.
And so I was really mad at myself the next day, and I was actually really mad at him. I'm like, why did you let me? You're an asshole. I was like, I hate you. He's like, what? Yeah, I didn't make you do anything. I'm like, no, you didn't. You're right. But I was just mad.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had been friends with this person for over 10 years, really good friends. And so it didn't ruin anything between us. He also knew that it was never going to happen again because of my reaction of basically, I want to stab you. And I couldn't get away from him fast enough after that happened.
You're like, get out!
God, I didn't even want to see him for weeks or talk to him or anything. So at some point, we got back. Obviously Jerry and I ended up getting back together. It took a long time and it was painful. But I think that incident helped me to move on from what he had done.
Sure.
Because I almost felt like we were equal.
Yeah.
Even though I had only done it once.
It doesn't matter.
And I think he had done it many times.
Sure.
It was enough for me to be like, you know what? You did what you did. He's never going to know about it, and he doesn't need to know about it for you to feel better about it.
Exactly.
So
you have come to peace.
Years later, he did something stupid. It wasn't anything on the same level of cheating, but it was something like sexting or some internet bullshit.
Sure.
You know how guys do?
Yes.
And it triggered me.
Oh, hardcore.
And I ended up telling him what I did.
Stephanie.
I admitted it.
Scandal. Did he just
He didn't really lose it at the time. I gave him just enough information and just enough details to where he knew it was true.
He marinated.
But I really didn't go but this was literally over 10 years ago when I told him.
Were you married?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't married. But when I told him, it was like 10 years ago. Because
Yeah.
when this happened, it was like 15 years ago.
Sure.
Okay?
So you're dredging up. You were like,
So for some reason, in the last month,
Oh.
this subject came up again. And I cannot remember how.
Okay.
I do not remember how it came up, but it ended up coming up. And for some reason, it was like he had just found out.
Oh, Jesus.
He's known for 10 years.
Suddenly it's affected him?
But we never talked about it. I said what I said, and we never talked about it.
Did he decide he needed to talk about
Suddenly,
it?
I think we got into an argument, and I was just like, you know what? Shut the fuck up. You're fucking just as much of a. I will make little jabs at Jerry like that because even though I say I'm over it, there are certain things that will make me think about it.
Yeah.
And that I'll still get pissed for a second.
Yeah.
Even though it's been a really long time, So I think it was something like, he's like, that guy is such a sleazeball. He was talking about somebody who was married or with somebody and they cheated or something. And I looked at him, I'm like, oh, shut up. Look in the fucking mirror. It was something like that.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, he started down that, well, you and your boyfriend from Tahoe, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God. So I was like, you know what? Never. So like usual, I just assumed it would blow over. Well, he all of a sudden just decided to fixate on it and fester and freaking just obsess. And it was horrible because he would not let it go.
Yeah, rough patches are rough.
And it went for days.
Yes. Well, our rough patch, are you over it? Are you
all
past
of a sudden, within 2 days.
Oh, so this is recent, but you're over it.
Well, I was always over it.
You guys have moved. You've been able to get past.
I think what happened was after he did his thing, because he was horrible to me. He said some terrible things. He wouldn't let it go. He caused some really huge fights that were totally unnecessary in my mind.
Yeah.
And I was over it, and then I had to relive what he did.
Yeah, it triggers
because
everything.
I knew why I did what I did.
Yes. You know what? This is fascinating because it's almost like you guys are replaying.
And why?
Now that you're married. It's almost like a test.
Yeah, and we'll be married 5 years, by the way, in November. So,
but you've been together for 20 plus.
24.
But what's interesting is
so now he's acting like you could have left me any day, and I want you to never do that again.
Yeah.
So now he's been suddenly I just kissing my ass.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting.
The reverse.
How those rough patch. So that's my point, is that if you've been together and then married for a really long time and you go through this rough patch for whatever reason, whether it's what you guys did or what Daryl and our rough patch was about, we weren't speaking to each other.
Yeah.
And etc. If you can get out of it and get out on the other side of it, what happens if you decide is you look at each other and go, we are never doing that to each other again. We will never be there again. And it's such a relief.
It is a relief.
And there's no saying that there won't be another rough patch.
Oh, for sure.
But it won't be the same.
I didn't even see this one coming.
It won't be the same. And
That's
so
true.
it'll be something like
I'm glad you know what? I'm glad we talked about it finally.
Yeah, see?
And you know what was funny is...
it's almost like it was unresolved and you
It
had to
was
go through
unresolved.
it. You had to go through it.
But he still wouldn't admit to me what he did.
Of course not.
And I mean, and I point blank, because when he was grilling me, you know, I point blank asked him, I could name the day.
Yeah.
I was like, remember the day that you came home, blah, blah, blah. I went into the details. I was like, where were you?
He's like,
He would not fucking tell me. I was like, so I admitted what I did, fully admitted it, told you where, told you who, everything. At the time period.
In the back of your mind, you're like, God damn it, why did I say anything?
No, not really, because you know what I said to him? I go, I'm glad, you know what, to be honest with you, I'm glad it's fucking eating you up. I'm sorry it took 10 years for that to happen.
Yeah.
But I said, now you know how it feels.
That's true.
Because that shit's been eating me up for 15 years.
For 15 years. So now, yeah.
And you still won't fucking admit it.
I know, it sucks.
It makes me crazy.
Right, but you get past, hopefully you guys will get past it.
Yeah,
and
we're
then,
past it.
And then you'll be like, okay, never again will we be doing this.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I had to do for me is like, I had to vow that I would not bring it up again.
Yeah.
You have to promise not to bring it up again.
You know what? And we kind of have. I think he's the one that had to come to me, because after everything he said, reliving this horrible time period of our life, the things that he said to me was like he just found out yesterday.
Weird.
Be mad all you want, because now I'm never speaking to you, like, ever.
It can make you stronger, though, and it does. It can. So speaking of that, Daryl and I. Okay, so we had a death in the family. Not you and I. Daryl's extended family had a death in the family, and so because I'm insane and I have anxiety, mentally I go morbid, and so because it's, you know, when anything happens, even if it's within your circle, everybody will try to reason with it within your own brain, right? So Daryl and I were sitting there, and like I said, this week there's been a lot of late night cocktails, a lot of takeout, a lot of deep discussions about life, because that's just what we do.
Well, you've been focusing on other things, and it's hard to be on your routine when you're like that.
We were sitting there, and I said, I go, by the way, and it's always when we're like in a parking lot somewhere random, and I go, by the way, I decided something. He goes, what? And he always gets really nervous when I say shit like that. He goes, what? And I said, well, I've decided that
I want a divorce.
No.
Like, no, but I mean, why would he get nervous?
Well, because it's always something really like Herculean that he's got to like use his brain and go, okay. But I said, I've decided that if I die, and he's like, oh, God, you know, every time. I go, if I die and you can still have another life after I die, like I'm young enough when I die. And he goes, yeah. And I said, I want to be cremated. That's been decided. I said, but I would like you to take some of my ashes. I want you to go to Coalina. We have a little lagoon there.
Yeah.
Our special place. And I said, I want you to take just a teeny bit, like a teaspoon.
Nothing that's gross or that is still in the car.
No, just a tiny bit. And I go, and I want you to just sprinkle it in the sand by the lagoon where we always sit. And I go, and then whenever you go, I'll be there.
Aww.
And he's like, and I'm getting emotional. He's like,
you're going to make me get emotional.
And he's like, Jamie, we're going to live to 95. Remember, we're going to hold hands and die together. We're going to be like those newspaper clippings where old people.
We're going to be like The Notebook.
Yeah, we're going to die together, remember? He goes, and then they can just sprinkle both of us in there. And I'm like, I know. I'm just saying that if it doesn't happen, I want you to be prepared. He's like, oh, fine.
Well, and now you'll remember this conversation we had in the car in a parking lot. If it does happen, you'll be like, I'm glad she told me that.
Yeah, because now you'll know, and you won't be like, what do I do? You know, now you'll have some ideas. Yes. He goes, I don't sound like that. I'm like, all right, fine. God, always. He's making me sound like I'm dumb. And I'm like,
I got to tell these things to Lauren, too, because I keep forgetting.
What?
I mean, I think
like
I
that
think
you want to be sprinkled under a tree?
No, I don't remember. Honestly, I haven't thought about that. I probably should think about that.
Tell someone.
I hope I told Lauren this, and if I haven't, I'm going to, that I would really prefer to be cremated.
I do.
And unless one of my children has an absolute protest about it for some reason, because they just freak out when I die.
Have a viewing and then cremate.
Whatever. I mean, if Jeff's like, no, Lauren, please don't cremate my mom. I just want her to be buried. Then just do that. That's fine. You know?
You've ponied the $5,000, Jeff.
Well, I have life insurance.
Whatever. Yeah, you're true. That's true.
But yes, I'm just saying, you know, I really would rather just be cremated unless somebody has some freak out moment and they can't handle the thought of me burning or something.
You don't have to see it.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
And I think I would be fine with it if, you know, my kids were like, I want to be cremated.
I just always told the kids,
you just never know how someone's going to react if somebody dies suddenly.
True.
So what if Jeff has some odd reaction? Or what if Lauren has some odd reaction?
100%.
That wasn't anticipated.
Yeah, 100%.
And it would kill them that thought that you know what I mean?
I agree.
Fine, bury me then, you know. But if you don't care, then I have no attachment to my body, please. Burn it.
Speaking of mental health, the other day we were in the car and Daryl goes, your breasts are my therapist. I have 2 therapists. He goes, counselor, psychiatrist. I'm like, really?
That's cute.
I'm like, don't ever say that in bed, please. He goes,
no.
I go, come on, man. I'm like, God, you're nuts. I thought I was nuts.
So I just finished watching The Shaws of Sunset just ended.
Bitch.
Oh my God.
I saw the reunion. I saw
Gigi.
some of the reunion. Gigi looks very different.
She does. She's never looked better in this season.
She's incredibly healthy looking, but on
She
the
is.
reunion, she looks like Cher.
But her reunion look was not my favorite.
It was like a freaking,
she had some looks. You know how when they do
like
their
a Harris dance lady.
I know, right? Well, they are Persian, but
it's not even about that. I mean, her getup was like she was going to be in Harris Kickline.
Or either that or she looked like an 80s Madonna Halloween costume. Yeah.
It was very unusual.
It was not my favorite, but
she does look healthy.
You know how they do, they do their confessions?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and they have to select, Bravo lets you pick like 3 looks.
Oh.
And you have to have one of those 3 looks in all your confessionals.
Got it.
You can't stray. You can't I'm going to wear this and this
for
one.
continuity.
No. You have to, and I don't know why they do it like that.
Well, so they can edit in
Fluidity.
and out.
Yeah, you're probably right. So, her looks for the season were, I mean, my God, she is gorgeous. Mm-hmm. So, yes, her reunion look, not my favorite.
It was a very Vegas.
It was not good. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the whole season was really good. It was one of my favorites ever. It is still a Ryan Seacrest production because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, why do I love this show so bad? It's
you
so
like the Ryan
bad.
Seacrest productions?
Yeah. I still don't fully understand. I've asked you this before, like, how an executive producer influences a show or what they're...
He may just have a really good eye for editing and production, like as far as like sets and storylines and what to play up and what not to play up.
Well, he must because everything he does I love.
Well, he's like a baby Dick Clark.
Yeah, but he's just,
He's like our Dick Clark.
There's other executives
he's really
Andy,
good. Andy Cohen does all the Real Housewives.
He does.
But he loves a hot mess.
He does love a hot mess, and I'm just not as much in love with his shows as I am with
they're
with
chaos.
Ryan's.
They're massive chaos. They're chaotic. He lets women just be insane, and it's almost a little
misogynist.
No. Well, yeah, but it's almost like
even though he's a gay man in New York,
it's almost like he loves how bad they make themselves look.
That's true,
and he just loves it. He's like, go ahead, look
he's
like
just
assholes.
gonna sit back and like watch them,
and it's almost like this diabolical
right.
It's almost like I have zero respect for these women. Let them look
passive aggressive.
Let them look like shit, and
I'll
make millions.
them to
exactly
right.
And I know a lot of people who are questionable about Andy Cohen.
Yeah, well,
he's a little nasty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of respect for some of these women.
I don't think he has respect for any of them, to be honest with you.
Well, like
some of them he does, but
like the one show that I used to love with Jeff. What's his name? The house flipper.
Oh, yeah. Is it $1 Million?
I can't remember who he...
I know what you're talking about.
That show, I was obsessed with that show.
Oh, okay.
And
$1 Million Listing? Is that what it's called?
No. Those are the real estate agents. His name is Jeff. He did exclusively LA shit. He would come in, somebody would buy a house, and he would come in.
Is he a designer?
He was a designer, but he would also do their construction.
Yeah.
Everything.
He's really good friends with Shannon Bedore.
Yes, they're very good friends.
Yeah.
He's a hot mess, but he was mean as hell. And I loved him. I'm like, I would watch it and go, I would totally work for him. I can totally deal with that kind of guy.
Right.
I don't care if he's gay or not. It does not matter. I can deal with that shit. I'm like, oh, please,
Yeah.
I can handle it. Because I understand perfection and I understand nothing can go wrong. And if it does, be prepared for the war.
Right.
Like, I get it. I understand that personality.
Yeah.
Whereas Andy Cohen's just like, do whatever you want. Look like shit. Be a drunk. I don't care. You know.
He's getting, Andy Cohen's becoming quite successful. He has a
God.
new show. Yeah, he has a new show on, whatever Bravo streaming service is. I don't know if it's Peacock or what it is.
I don't know.
It's called X-Rated. Yeah, it's supposed to be really dirty and
I'll have to watch
really
it.
raw. I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, it just premiered. And so I think as success is growing, his confidence is growing, right?
Yes.
It's very common. And so he's starting to get that kind of egotistical air about him that I'm not sure I love.
Ryan Seacrest does not have that.
He doesn't.
He's very hardworking. And
he's
just is
he's like kind of like you in the sense that he's like, any day this could end.
Yeah.
Like, any day I may not be this rich anymore. What if I'm not successful anymore? You know, so he's constantly striving to keep going.
He never stops.
Never stops.
I appreciate that.
I do too. And I think that's what makes him so great is because he's like, he's in his mind, he's like, I'm not going to make it. I've never made it. I still haven't made it, even though he's totally made it, you know?
Yes.
Right? He has. I mean, I'm sure there's a level of him that realizes that.
Yeah, but
I'm glad that
everything.
he keeps trying.
I love him. Speaking of reality TV, we were going to talk about Alone.
Yes.
Quickly. Oh, yeah, we have time. Alone ended a few weeks ago. The winner, now you binge watched the entire season, correct?
I did.
Okay, so we're not going to really go into the explanation.
Except for the finale, yeah.
Okay, but you watched the finale?
I watched the finale.
Okay, good. Well, we don't need to go into
But I watched it live. I didn't.
Explanation of the show or all the characters.
We all know what it's about, right?
If you haven't watched it, then fast forward 30 seconds.
I think there's 9 seasons.
There's 8.
Okay.
This was 8.
Okay.
So, first of all, hated the girls on the show. Now, let me preface, I always preface this. The women who participate in this show are far and above better women than me.
That's true.
I would never do this.
Me neither.
I would never be skilled enough. I would never shoot a deer or snare rabbits or eat rose hip
shoot
a
squirrel through the throat.
I wouldn't eat dead fish off the shore.
Oh my God.
Like none of that shit.
Right.
I would never. In a million years, I would not dig myself a shelter. I would never build myself. No. I'd be like, where's my husband?
Right.
Where's the tent? You know, like none of that stuff. So, I mean, with that being said, though, now we can critique.
It's a phenomenal show because the concept is so brilliant.
I just fucking love it. And
yeah, me too.
And I've watched all the seasons. I've seen it from season 1
I've started to, so
you can go back.
Well, we're watching we watched the current
Yes.
season, but then when it wasn't on or
Yes.
there wasn't one to binge, we would
Yes.
start to watch an old season.
Right. So, a couple of
we've done
notes.
all of it.
Couple of notes.
We watched the I don't know, I think you were the one that told me about it, but it's like, it was like brothers,
the pairs, the duo.
or dad and son.
Yeah, it was season 4 or 5, horrible.
And then there was one where they brought people who got kicked off. Yes. They came back.
Yes,
that's the one that we just watched.
I think they were in like Portugal or somewhere foreign.
Indonesia.
I don't remember, but it was
somewhere.
It was horrifically hot.
Was that the one that this guy
found? The girl fish hooked her hand immediately. And had to back out.
And I think this was the same season where the one guy found a dead floating bird in the lake. And he's like, oh my God, he was so relieved to find it.
Yes.
He's like, but we don't know. He's like, I don't know why it died.
Right.
And he cut it open and there was worms in it.
That was this season. And
it was?
Alone 8.
Okay,
yes.
See, I have so many different seasons going.
It floods. Okay, so the couple of notes.
That was
First
gross.
of all, if you follow the show, you need to get on Reddit and go to the Alone TV Reddit. It's the best because a lot of the participants go
on
in there.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I love that. That's so fun.
So Jordan from season 6, who is the superhero of all the seasons, he literally threw a hatchet and killed a Wolverine in the dark. I mean, he's unbelievable. Unbelievable. He stayed with Eskimos in Serbia for years.
Yeah.
Like this dude had no chance of losing. He was gonna win.
Well, some of them have done some pretty phenomenal
Unbelievable.
things.
And the ones from Alaska are hardcore.
They are.
I love it.
And some of them still lose. So it's like, it just goes to show you how hard it is.
Well, first of all, everybody will admit.
Getting hurt is the kiss of death.
Yes. Everybody will admit that this area that they put them in was barren. There was no fish in the lake because there had been an avalanche previously.
Oh.
Fish could not make it to the lake, number one. Number two, you couldn't use a gill net until
day 45
because salmon spawn.
Right.
And you can't take the babies. They're like, no, you have to let them live their life before we'll let you kill them.
Even though it's literally like, 6 people,
And not only that, but I mean, there weren't any because they couldn't get down the stream to spawn.
Right.
So they were fucked as far as fish, and nobody caught fish. Like, I think a total of 5 fish were caught in the entire season. And then you can't kill certain predators because it's against the law.
Like the fox.
And the little swimmer, those little baby badgers that were everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You can't kill the bears. I mean,
I thought you could kill, they could kill a bear, but nobody could get one.
You could kill it if it was attacking you. You could not kill it for food.
Oh, God.
But you could kill the mountain lion that was stalking the winner.
Yeah, which he never did.
Oh, God, I mean, it was just they really had their hands tied this season.
It was
hard.
So
basically, it ultimately ended up being a season of who could outlast the starvation.
Right,
is essentially what it was.
That's true, and it was 74 days.
Teresa, who was top 3,
and
was pulled for medical purposes because she was 90 pounds. Unbelievable.
God, she was like starving to death.
She was literally, and she was eating rose hips, and she was foraging.
Yeah, in fact, Jerry and I, when I started watching it, we binged it one night. We both had insomnia. It was on the weekend, and so neither one of us had to work the next day. So it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
and we were watching shows.
Yes,
and after a while, I'm like, this girl is not going to make it.
No,
I'm like, you can't live on. He's like, what's a rose hip? And I'm like,
they're out in our yard.
Yeah, I go, well, it's a plant.
It's after the roses die, and it's the bulb that's left over.
Yeah, I go, and she's not even trying to like catch anything.
She has completely given up on hunting, and she's like, and I don't like fish. And here's the other thing that everyone hated.
I don't like fish. Okay.
Here's the thing that everybody else hated.
Why don't you make dirt pies like they do in Haiti?
She literally did.
You know what? Maybe I fell asleep then because I don't remember that.
With the rose hip extra pulp. She made these. She goes, well, they're not.
Yeah, I remember
tasty.
that. I do remember that.
Well, here's the thing that nobody liked about her. First of all, she was way too reckless with her body.
Yeah,
getting out in the water, giving herself hypothermia, and then burning her legs with fire. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's right.
You're crazy. And then running up and down the shoreline in the dark with a torch to celebrate some random holiday in England.
Was weird.
You're from North Dakota. What are you doing?
I feel normal. I was like, you are not going to win.
And not only
can we
that,
hurry up and get her off so that we can see who's left?
And not only that, but I'm like, all I could think of when she was running up and down, I'm like, you're gonna fall and burn yourself or slice your head open in the dark.
Who was the one that cut themselves with the saw?
Her.
Oh, it was her.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, I thought so.
And here's what everybody she was already unlikable from day one.
Right.
Is her fucking accent issues. What? She'd be English one minute, and then American the next minute.
She's like Dorit Kemsley.
And everybody was saying it was fake and that she was playing up the English. And then finally, towards the end, she kind of addressed it. She's like, I know I have, I guess what it's called, an English droll. And I'm like,
yeah.
And everybody hates her. Everybody hates her.
Okay, I love that. I've got to get on Reddit then because Jerry and I was like, I'm like, they have an English girl on here?
No.
Because that was when I think I must have missed the first 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Because Jerry was watching it. Yes. And I was like, is this, because for some reason he's watched a couple seasons twice. And I'm like, and with Alone, I'm like, it's not one of those shows that I can keep watching because I know who wins. Yeah. And it's like, once you know who wins, then
why are you watching it again?
Yeah, it's just no fun. So... Anyway, so I didn't know right away. I was like, they have an English girl in here? Well, that's new. I'm like, well, it's the new episode. Who knows, you know? No. So when you say that, I'm like, she wasn't even English?
No, she had been in
England. What a weirdo.
She had been in England for like a year, 18 months studying because she's like an anthropologist.
Okay.
And
well,
so,
yeah, they all have kind of spectacular backgrounds.
So the thing is that, yes, she has all these amazing skills, but she's like, I don't like fish. Ew. And so then she finds a dead fish on the shoreline and eats it. And it's like... Daryl's like, I would starve before I ate
a rotting
You're
fish.
Not supposed to eat anything dead.
They
ever.
have though.
Well, yes.
Another person found 2 of them. Remember? And he was like, I'm so glad that I found these.
I know.
And I said that too. And Jerry was like, well, God, it's like 30 degrees there.
And that's the thing is they're frozen solid.
It's so cold.
Yeah, but if
that
they
it's
have,
like being in a refrigerator.
The problem is if they have bacteria, if they died of something. Like the one
all
guy,
reasons why we would never go on this freaking show.
Like the one guy who got pulled for medical reasons, the guy that looks like a Muppet.
Was this the guy that had like the thick beard that was just filthy?
So disgusting.
Yeah. Was that the same season?
That was Colton. And he was the one that had the boat.
He was so gross.
Stephanie?
Jamie, I couldn't...
when he was trying to clean out his eye and he used his black finger...
He's like, first time I've washed my face in 60-something days. And I'm like, why? Jerry and I even said that. I go, the one thing they all have endless supply of is water. Hot boiling water.
And here's what the thing is when you'll read in the Reddit, because like I said, I'm not a outdoorsy gal.
Right.
And I hate dirt anyway. But these people who are very skilled and they're talking about, they're like, it is literally the number one rule in outdoorsmanship is to be as clean as possible. Because if you get even a hangnail and you get some weird bacteria from some strange animal, it will kill you.
So I'm wondering if that was like his shtick he thought it would be. You know, like they'll all remember me because I was the dirty guy.
All I know is when I look at people who do weird things on that show, I go, you know what? You must be a delight in your real life.
Well, I mean, and Jerry and I said that too. I go, these aren't people that we would live next door to.
No, they're out in the middle of nowhere, always.
All the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you don't end up on the show because you were just living a normal suburban life and you applied to go on alone.
For example, Biko, who I really liked.
I thought he was going to win.
Why did
he tap out?
He tapped out because he was having some health issues.
Oh, okay.
In fact,
because he was the one that's like, he's like, I still got some flubber. I'm still good.
The problem was he had noticed his heart was pounding really bad, and he was having a hard time not being dizzy. Oh. And so they actually ended up helicoptering him out because he actually ended up in the hospital with heart issues.
So because he was
legit malnourishment. Yeah. So he was legitimately. He would have been pulled probably anyway.
I thought he could have won.
So he could have, if he could have found the energy to do anything more than eat onions off the side of the hill.
That's true.
He just didn't have it in him.
I know.
He didn't do any hunting. Although Daryl and I agree, he had the worst spot of them all. He was on a hill. He had to climb down the hill every day to get water.
He did.
And he had a bad ankle.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of things about him that I did not agree with. Like, lazy is not the right word. It was almost like he even maintains, he's like, look, I just said I was a normal guy who had marginal outdoorsman skills. I never said that I was like this guy.
Ultimate, yeah. He's no Roland.
So now, right? So now he had somebody set up a GoFundMe for him because now his children are obviously born. He doesn't have health issues anymore. But I'm like, this dude needed an agent and to get an endorsement from someone who, like, this guy has skills. He has
he had the personality.
Yeah, and he's so, everybody liked him. Likable. But now I'm looking at him I'm looking at some of his YouTube and some of his videos now that he's posting on Instagram, and I'm just like, dude, you look lazy. Like, what are you doing?
Maybe he is. I mean, wasn't he the one that was like, I
am not going back to anything. I have no job.
Jerry called him. He's like, is that stick in his nose? Is he tapping out? I was like,
he has some first of all, he's got such a great personality.
Yeah. But what was with the toothpick in his nose?
Well, he had a piercing and he didn't want, and he had to take the piercing out.
Why?
I assume it would be an advantage.
Or he could take it out and use it for something?
Yes. It's like jail.
Oh my God.
So he took a fishbone and he put it in there.
Well, the first time I saw him, I'm like, what's this?
Dude, I'm like, make fishbone piercings and sell them. Like, there are so many things he could do. He is not thinking out of the box. I'm like, find a knife company and have them make you, quote unquote, make you a knife, because you literally made a knife out there.
Yeah, he did.
Like, do something with these things that you did. Instead of just sitting on your ass with a GoFundMe that somebody felt sorry for you and did. Come on!
And taking advantage of the exposure that you're getting.
When I saw that, I was so glad that Clay won. Dude,
yeah.
That guy,
I did not expect that guy to win.
Okay, first of all, I had a slight crush on Clay.
Yeah, he was cute.
Not only was he cute, but I loved his brain. Like,
he was really smart.
God, he's so smart.
Yeah.
And
I still didn't think he would win because he was so skinny. He was little.
Very thin, but I mean, what got him through was his deer.
Yeah, that's true.
And then he also snared 4 rabbits.
Yeah.
So that got him through. He thought he could make it a little longer.
God, every time somebody snared a rabbit, every single time, Jerry was like, "Aw." Every time. I'm like, Jerry, rabbits are they're abundant.
Yes.
I know they're adorable. They are.
They're beautiful.
And we would never eat one. But
well, and the thing is with the snowshoe rabbits, they turn white in the snow.
Oh, they're adorable.
They're brown in the winter or in the fall. Oops, they're brown in the fall and they turn white.
I'm like, but under normal circumstances, we would never eat a rabbit.
And I appreciate,
but if you're out there and you catch a rabbit, that's a lot of food.
Do you remember what he said about it when he ate that first rabbit?
Who?
Clay.
No.
When he finally got it because he was so hungry.
I might remember after you tell me.
Did I save it?
Was that the one? Oh, no, that was the girl. When she ate the heart, she's like, that's the best heart I've ever had in my life.
And they all do that. But he said this, and I agree with this, by the way. I think this is an absolute true statement. It's the same statement I feel about, I think every teenager should work in a restaurant. Mm-hmm. I think everybody should know what it's like to work in a thankless job.
That's true.
Fast food or a restaurant.
Yeah.
But he said this when he got that rabbit afterwards. He said the world would be a much better place if at least once in their life everyone got to experience the kind of hunger that would make you suck the eyeballs out of a rabbit's skull with much pleasure.
Oh, for God's sakes.
And I'm like, and then he did it. And I'm just like, you know what? It's true to a degree. However, he said that, and I go, first of all, he's a Renaissance man. This man belongs in the 1800s.
Right.
Like, he talks like Pa Ingalls. Like, he's so literate and poetic.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And yet he's a huntsman. I mean, like, God.
Right.
So when Thanksgiving came and he was about ready to tap,
Yeah, because
he missed his wife so bad. Oh, he was like so heartbroken. He's like, I miss my wife so bad. And he started crying. He goes, I don't want to do this, but I'm just going to let it happen. And he just was like crying in a man way, like not like a girl way. And then winning, I started crying because I was like,
she was pregnant though, right? And couldn't come.
No. That was another season. It was COVID and they weren't letting anybody come.
Oh, that's what it was.
So he had to call her on a satellite phone to tell her she won. Well, here's the thing. If you go to the Alone Reddit, he posts a YouTube, because he has a really popular YouTube page, which I absolutely started subscribing to.
Oh, of course you did.
He had her film their life while he was gone.
Aww.
So you see everything. Now they're kind of homesteady.
Well, duh.
Which I was surprised to see. Not really, but she was like, I'm making peppermint schnapps and mint extract today. I'm like, what?
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me at all.
And their house looks like a little cabin, but it's really beautifully built and everything.
And so he won $500,000, right?
He won $500,000.
Yeah.
And so
that's a lot of money.
Then so the YouTube is what happens after he gets extracted, where he's at the hotel.
And don't they take him to a hospital?
Well, probably, but he was fine, you know, but he's like, it's so fascinating because I've never seen what happens after the winners.
We all want to know. And as a matter of fact, did they always do the little interview at the end after they're not on the show anymore? Like
yes.
Because I didn't remember seeing that where they were like talking to another contestant. She was like, "How did you feel when this happened?"
They don't do it for all of them, but I think they do it if there's some kind of compelling extraction.
Oh, okay.
But
I think the one girl was talking to the other girl, and she's like, "I know exactly how you felt."
That girl had no chance either. But
I know.
Anyway, so it was really compelling. So the video of her sitting down and getting the call from the producers going, "We have someone who wants to talk to you," and she's like, "Okay," hasn't talked to her husband in 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Gets on the phone. She's
has
like,
no idea how he.
She's like, and the thing is it was the day after Thanksgiving. Aww. And she's like, and the sons were like, I don't care if he wins the money. I want my dad. I want him home. I don't give a shit. I don't care. And so she's just like, hi, honey. She's like, I've missed you so much. She's like, how is everybody? And he immediately asked for his boys. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
What?
You asked for your children?
What?
I am your wife.
Well, come on.
Miss me.
Oh my God, of course he did, but
he's like, where are the boys? She's like, you can talk to them in a minute.
Is that what she said?
Yes. And so she's like,
well, I mean, he's the dad and they're protectors and, so in his mind, he's like, I hope they're okay.
Well, and she even said, she goes, you'd be so proud of them. They stepped up. They've taken care of everything. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Anything.
Relieved.
Anyway, it's so worth the watch. It's like 30-minute YouTube video, and I will send it to you. And it's so fucking good. And I mean, really, if you live in an area where you would never live this kind of life, this show is so good.
It really is, and I think that's why Jerry and I love it too. Is because it's something you would never do.
I have so much respect for these people.
I know, it's crazy.
And I even handpick.
And whoever produces it,
oh my God, it's History Channel.
Yeah, I know the channel, but whoever is doing it,
job.
They're awesome.
Yes,
at it. Because I'm not sick of it, and I've watched almost all of them.
People they'll go, oh, this is a boring season. And I'm like, I don't diminish anything these people are doing.
I don't think. I mean,
this is so hard, and they had so many rules that they couldn't break.
It's circumstantial. You don't know. You can't predict.
They're not flush with food.
No.
I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, you're like, oh, we'll fish, do something, catch something. Okay. You go out there with nothing, with sticks that you're making weapons with.
And not to mention, they don't get to use bait.
No, I wondered that.
They have to find
like that
they
one
found
guy
a dead can and made a lure, and that's how he caught a fish.
That's true. In fact, Jerry and I were like, I'm like, that guy's so lucky he found a can. Mm-hmm. Because I was thinking, he's like, oh my God, he was like so happy when he found it. I'm like, what is he going to do with the rusty old can? Like, I'm like, I guess you could clean it and make it a cup or something. He's like, I'm going to use this as took the tab, and I'm like,
made a lure.
Brilliant. I never would have thought of that.
No, that's because that's not who we are.
Right?
Like, what is this stupid can? Litterers! Yeah, you guys are littering.
I'm gonna need a tetanus shot if I touch this.
God, yeah, exactly. Whereas they're just like, oh, thank God, I found this as a new tool. I can use it for everything.
Yeah,
I've seen them use empty bottles for boiling water. I mean,
all kinds of things.
Crazy. Anyway, I love the show.
Love it too.
Definitely wouldn't do it.
I didn't like the one scene where he made the ukulele. Was that your guy?
No. What?
He built a ukulele.
I think it was.
Was that a different season?
Last season.
See, what is wrong?
And
with
I remember him, and he tapped.
Yeah, I haven't finished watching that one yet.
I'm sorry. Well, he obviously doesn't win, but...
No, I mean, if they're not going to win,
when they start,
I don't give a shit.
I'll tell you what, you can always tell when someone's checking out. There's some tells. And everybody's the same, because we're human, and we're all primal at the end of the day.
Right.
They start dreaming about Thanksgiving.
because their
body is malnourished.
Yeah.
So they start dreaming about feasts that they can't eat. They're like,
Right.
and then I can't eat it. And then I wake up and I'm so angry.
Yeah.
They start craving sugar because their body, they get hypoglycemic.
Yeah, for sure.
Then the biggest tell, though, it's twofold. One, they start getting bored because they're so highly skilled. They've done everything.
Yeah.
And they start making games, ukuleles,
Dice.
pipes, all the things, carvings of their
That
name.
guy was actually smart for making the pipe.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Because it's indulgent.
Yes.
And it's
exactly.
like the one thing that he could indulge in.
They make chairs.
Yeah.
All the things, right?
That's pretty good.
And then...
And I think from a guy's standpoint, because when he made that chair, Jerry's like, that's not going to work. That's going to be uncomfortable. And then when he said it, he's like, brilliant.
Yeah.
Like in his mind, he was
crazy.
like, I could make a chair.
You could with sticks in your backyard. Go for it. Try.
Right.
Just like the one year that I watched it and I was sure as shit that I was going to get a bow and arrow and start being an archery person.
God.
I swear to God.
You wouldn't even play golf with me.
And I told you I would. And
well, I know, but...
I told Daryl, after season 6, I said, I want to learn how to do archery. He goes, Jamie, you'll kill someone or yourself. I go, no, I won't. I'll get a small one. He goes, no, that's not how that works. He goes, I'll do it in my backyard. He goes, you will kill the dogs.
Or a neighbor.
You can't.
You are not going to do it.
All right, I have one ugly and awkward moment for you, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay.
This is something I found, and because our frontline healthcare workers are so incredibly going through it.
Yeah.
And I know you people are quitting in droves, and I do not blame you. If there is a healthcare nurse and doctor, or nurse specifically, nurse LVN shortage, which I know is forthcoming, I still appreciate you, and I understand why you're leaving. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
I have so many friends who are nurses.
Yeah.
I have so many, and they are just tirelessly working. Even if they're not emergency room, if they're like labor and delivery or
they're all doing
anything.
it.
They're all
it's
dealing.
Kind of like, all hands on deck.
All hands on deck,
Just
all
doing...
day, every day. And I'm so thankful,
It's
personally.
it's like MASH units.
I'm so thankful for them.
Oh, me too.
For sticking it out.
Absolutely.
So this is for you, because I know you all have stories like this. And if you have stories like this, oh my God, please send them in.
Yes.
I would love to read them for you.
Totally.
I had a patient come into recovery after surgery. She had had a colonoscopy. She farted so long and loud, the entire 20-bed unit heard her.
Oh my God.
Then she said, I was trying to clear my throat. Excuse me. And I want a vanilla latte. I got a headache. And so,
After she did,
after she farted, she goes, as medical professionals, we had to hold it together, but they did not stop our patients from all laughing at her.
Are you kidding me?
And I'm like, you think that those things happen all the time, you're like, does it happen all the time when people have, they fart really loud and you try not to laugh? Do you get used to the farting? And she's like, no, we don't get used to it. It's funny.
Well, that's funny because a friend of mine at work, her and I were talking about it. And she's like, oh, you've never had one? And I'm like, no. And she's younger than me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no. And she's like, oh, you should get one. You really
should get one. If
yeah.
you're 45, you should get one.
Yeah. So she's like, I've had a couple, but I guess she has some history.
Oh, yeah.
So she does it for that reason. And she's like, the worst part is, and then she told me that.
Yeah.
Literally, she's like, and they won't let you leave until you can do it.
Now, that's not true.
I don't know if it's true for her. You know what? When people at work tell you things, they kind of probably tell you like a quarter of it, of what it really is. For all I know, maybe she's had an issue.
Yeah.
She's had something
There
bad,
might be a reason.
And there's a reason,
Yeah.
and she just didn't go that far and tell me.
I literally woke up and I felt like I'd had the best nap of my life because I got propofol.
Michael Jessen.
And I can't tell you.
Starting to get weird.
I would absolutely get it again. It's so great.
Oh, yeah.
I woke up and I went, oh, good morning.
I know,
It was
right?
the best sleep I had. And the nurse goes, good morning. And I'm like, hello. And I was
You're
so
like,
happy.
so happy.
And I was so rested. And I felt great.
And you're relieved. It's over.
My butt didn't hurt anymore from all the pooping I had to do.
Oh, my
Because they had
God.
put lanacane on my asshole and it felt so great. And I didn't even know. I'm like, why does my butt not hurt? And they're like, oh, well, they take care of that for you. I'm like, oh, my God, thank you.
God.
And she
Can I
goes,
have some of that for home?
she goes, you're perfectly healthy. We will see you in 10 years. Get dressed and we'll wheel you out to your husband. I'm like, awesome. And in my mind, I'm like, don't have to fart or any of that. No,
Yeah.
nothing.
You know what though? But like medicine's like anything else. It can really be like practice by practice or doctor by doctor.
Yes.
Maybe some people are just really overly like cautious and they want to make sure before you leave. And maybe
Or if there was an issue.
Or an issue.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's a variety.
But
of
I was
things.
so
It's
I
like
was
going
like
to a hair salon. You never
I'm
know.
like, wow, this is wonderful. Thank you so
I know,
much
right?
thank thank you, everyone. Thank you. And it was like, I was so grateful. And they're just like, thank you for being healthy.
And then you're so happy that it's over.
Oh my God. I was so thrilled.
And that the news was good.
Of course.
Right?
So get one.
I mean,
get one. And everyone should. I found out a friend of mine has colon cancer.
Oh God.
And because she put it off.
Oh my God.
She's a little older than me though, but still, don't put it off, guys.
Well,
if you
it
have a
doesn't
mammogram,
matter. Age is nothing anymore.
Mammogram, colon, whatever. If you're a Gen Z, you better be getting that shit done. Just get it done. Do it. Because if you get it early, you'll live.
Absolutely.
And you'll get a lot of, everybody will love you for being alive. So do it.
Absolutely.
All right. On that note, that's the end. Anything else?
I didn't get to tell, and I'll make it really fast.
Tell me.
But on Instagram, they posted the new trailer for season 9 of Below Deck. So if you watch the show,
yes,
I think Below Deck is one of those shows like Real Housewives or Alone.
Yes.
It's a series that's been going on and on. This is the 9th season. So if you're a fan, you're a huge fan.
Sure.
Like you love the show.
You're
you know all
everything.
the people. Yes. So I knew it was going to be coming. I knew they had filmed it, but they are so good about keeping it on the down low that we didn't know where it was going to be.
Okay.
And which is always one of the big plot is like what part of the world is the season going to be filmed in.
Okay.
So now we know where, and we know who's going to be the chief stew, which is the main. She's the head stewardess. So they do all the service for the guests. And then they have little stewardesses under them. And then the deck crew has a bosun, who's the main deck guy, and then he has his little deckhands below him, and then there's the captain.
Okay.
Now, Captain Lee is my favorite. We've talked about Daryl's brush with him meeting him.
And not knowing he was famous.
Which made the story all the more better, and how jealous I was that he didn't even know who Captain Lee was. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you not know who Captain Lee is? He's the shit. So, when the trailer came out, one of Captain Lee's things is he has tag sayings. He's a very old school. There's no question in my mind. He's white. He's from Florida.
Okay.
He's wealthy. Mm-hmm. He deals with wealthy people.
Sure.
So he's very old school as far as kind of how he is. I wouldn't call him misogynist. I would never say that about him because I just adore him.
No, he's just an older guy.
But he does. He's the guy like when the deck crew is out there working, he'd be like, he'll say something like, how is it that I come out here and there's not a swinging dick around here? Like, he has no problem saying, like,
Got it.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's like, hey, you bitches get in here when he's talking to dudes,
Got it.
Kind of like that. So he's well known for these little sayings that he says.
Got it.
He's one of his most famous sayings is, I would rather drag my dick through a floor full of broken whiskey bottles than ever meet that asshole again.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's the kind of shit he says. And he has millions of them.
I could respect that.
They're endless and they're funny.
Yes.
So in the premiere of the trailer, it always ends with Captain Lee usually, and he says he has a new tagline, one I've never heard before, and it was hilarious. And it was what was it? Oh my God!
I'm as nervous as a whore. In
Yeah, he goes, I was as nervous as a whore in the front pew of a church, and I thought it was cute, and I laughed, and so I DM'd the trailer to Kate Chastain, to Captain Lee, to one of the other people that's on the show, and then you and Daryl. Not in a million years thinking that. As a matter of fact, I don't even think I realized I DM'd it.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to post it on my, tag it on my feed.
Just share it.
And I ended up messaging it. And
that's kind of an awkward moment.
It was, now that you mention it. But Kate Chastain responded to me.
I know.
Now, she said something snarky about not to me per se, but she kind of mocked the tagline. But that's very much her humor. If you know Kate, and if you watch the show, you know how she is. She's uber sarcastic. She's very witty. And so the point is that I was so fucking giddy over that.
Oh my God, Stephanie.
Just so my God. Like, she responded to my DM. I can't stand it. Like, I'm so fucking excited. The only thing better would have been if it was Captain Lee.
Well, he probably doesn't even know how to work it, but.
No, I don't know. He's pretty good. I think he has people.
Yes.
Because his Instagram is pretty active.
Well, now you're friends. So
now we're buddies.
Now you're best friends.
We are BFFs. And
you're telling her what to wear, how to think, what to think.
I fully intend on knocking on her door the next time I'm in Florida and be like, hey, are we going to have a drink tonight or what?
Like, what are we doing? I'm here. Duh, Katie. God,
So thank you, Kate, for writing me back. I fangirled for days after that happened. I was so excited.
So it's awesome.
Yeah. And now Daryl can't claim he's the only one that's ever had an encounter with something on my show.
Below Deck is now the show for us.
It is my show.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
well, I'm so glad you had your brush with fame.
I did. Well, how often does that happen?
Never.
I think something similar has happened to you though, right? Like on Twitter?
Oh, yeah. On Twitter, it has happened. Absolutely. Well,
like somebody you love.
It happens. You know what happens?
Either a retweet or
they respond or they like something. Yes, it's definitely happened with like mostly musicians or stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
Who I absolutely fangirl over stand-up. Not gonna lie.
I know you do.
I do. I don't know why. I just love their minds.
It's your thing. Well, no, every girl loves a funny guy.
It's true.
I mean, hilarious. Guys, that's the first thing that'll get my clothes off.
In fact,
if you're funny.
In fact, if you were to pull those stand-up comedians out and put them in the wild, and you'd go, ew. If they were like an accountant, you'd be like, and never in a million years.
I mean, half of them aren't even that good looking.
That's what I'm saying.
Richard Jenny. Rest his soul.
He's 5 feet tall.
He was not a big man, but he was so funny. I found him attractive in that way.
He was great.
Because he was hilarious.
I mean, he wore polyester pants.
He did, but he was so funny.
I know. I love Richard
I just
Jenny.
adored him. I was so sad when he died.
I don't know if he's underrated or people have just forgotten about him.
I think he just killed himself right at the height of his... He was just getting ready to get, like, uber famous.
I'm so glad you and I saw him.
I am too.
Last
I mean,
Unlimited.
he had his HBO special, months before he did that?
And then you and I went and we were in front row and he actually even responded because he was doing crowd work. And which is when he's trying to solicit
and involve the crowd.
Yeah, and so I said something and he used it and I'm like, I think I'm in love with you.
Right?
Like, I just, even though you're like really small, I
well,
don't
the funny
care.
thing about that,
I'll put you in my pocket.
When we went to that show, is I didn't want to go.
I know.
I was really like, but
I'm so glad you went.
And then when I went, I was like, oh my God, this guy is hilarious. I was so glad I went.
You know what's so funny is that you are the second family member that I've had to drag to a comedy show.
I know. Well, Paula?
No, and Daryl.
Oh.
I drug Daryl to see Bert Crusher. Why can't I say his name? Bert Kreischer. Anyway, I'm so sorry. He doesn't listen to our show.
He's listening right now, and he's like, yeah, how dare you?
He's like, God damn it, another one! Because no one can pronounce his last name. Anyway, I said, you have to see this guy. He's so funny. His opening act, Taylor Tomlinson, is huge now.
Oh, really?
She's amazing and she's hilarious. And her show on Netflix called 25 Midlife or Quarter Life Crisis is what it's called. So good.
Oh, by the way, did you see that Frankie and Grace and Frankie just dropped again?
Yes, and I haven't even finished last season.
Oh, I did.
Okay, I have to watch it.
But they're finally looking their age.
Oh, I know.
I mean, they are literally almost 90.
Do you think they aged him up for the show to make him look even older?
Well, Jane Fonda's had more work done, and she shouldn't have.
Oh, damn it. She promised she wouldn't.
God, she did.
God.
She doesn't, she's almost unrecognizable.
Anyway,
only Tomlin looks the same.
I drug Daryl to this show. It was a sold out show. We had to wait in a goddamn line, and I was really mad about it because the kind of crowd that he attracts are bros.
You're right.
And they're beer drinkers and they're big smelly guys.
You're
and
like,
the occasional girlfriend who's like, I'm a cool girl, I'll go,
Yeah, whatever.
I went, I'm like, no, this guy's really good, I promise. And so we went, we sat down, hysterical. Daryl's like, I don't even know who I was before I met him. He's hilarious.
So
I'm like,
funny.
I know, isn't he great? But Taylor Tomlinson was a huge win for me. I'm like, this girl is amazing.
Yeah.
So then we were leaving.
It's so bad. That's why I'm like,
we were leaving, and she was in the bar just watching the show. And I walked by and I said, "You were so fucking good. Congratulations." And she's like, "Oh my God, thank you." I go, "You're welcome. Oh my God, I cannot wait to see what happens to you." A year later, Netflix.
Oh, great.
She's amazing. If you haven't seen her,
great.
she'll be in Sacramento. Actually, Stephanie, if I can drag you, I might make you go with
I'll
me.
go.
Really
Drag
good.
me yeah.
So fucking good. I had to drag Paula to see Sebastian Maniscalco.
See, I thought that was her thing.
No, that was my thing.
Oh, okay.
She just fell in love with him.
Okay, let's understand what I'm about to try.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye.